What's up, my fuckies? It's the Hater back again with your weekly AEW review. Now, this video has been posted a little late because some things came up and I had to watch the season premiere of Survivor, motherfuckers. The Hater's favorite show, Survivor. Right? If you haven't ever watched Survivor, I suggest you give it a shot. Unfortunately, it's on Wednesday, so I had to watch, what's it called? A dub right after that. I don't anticipate this being a problem every week because typically I record Survivor on Wednesdays and I watch it on Thursdays or Fridays with my girlfriend because she likes it too now because I like it. And I got her into it because it's an awesome show. So that's why this video is a little late. Couldn't miss the season premiere. It's a season of all past winners. So there you have it, cucks. All right. Now, before we get started, let's do a few little subscriber shout outs. Let's see here. We got like 5 subscribers or so since since I think last video I did was Monday. So yeah, it's been, maybe not, maybe only a few. But one of them is Casual One. Casual One, welcome, motherfucker. I like that. I like your name, Casual One. You know what I'm saying? Zwei says talk about the XFL. Maybe I will, Zwei. Maybe I will. Zwei means 2 in German to all of you morons out there. Just kidding. And then we got AJ2000 who comments, hey, I'm a new subscriber. Nice content. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you, AJ2000. He's got an avatar of Trump, which good for that. You know, I anticipate another 4 more years of McDonald up in this piece. You understand what I'm saying? None of these motherfuckers have what it takes. Let's be real, man. It's not even about being a politician anymore. It's about being charismatic, right? And people, one time I was hanging with some of my friends who were like super liberals. Now, I love these people. They're good people, you know? But my friend and his girlfriend, who was also super liberal, and I was like, this is like a very close friend of mine. We've been friends for like nearly 20 years at this point, right? Known each other since like, no, man, not 20 years. But like, what, 18 years? Yeah. So, like I said, I'm like, look, this is like a few years ago. I'm like, Trump's very charismatic. And his girlfriend's like, what? Trump is not charismatic. And she said it with like, how could anyone like him? And I'm like, dog, this guy came from like being just a celebrity, basically, right, to being president. So there you go. You understand what I'm saying? So, and my friend was like, yeah, he's charismatic. I mean, I hate to say it because he doesn't like Trump, but it is what it is. Not that we're apolitical, not really, but we try to be apolitical here on the Hater channel, you know. But I'll tell you this, the Lover, yeah, that guy is a big, big supporter of Elizabeth Warren and Pete Buttigieg or whatever the fuck that guy's name is. So there you have it. You know, you can figure out where the Hater lays based on that. And probably some of the other things that I've been saying, motherfucks. So there you have it. I anticipate another 4 more years. I think it's almost a guarantee at this point. I mean, let's be real, you know. Andrew Yang, that guy's definitely smart. And Bernie Sanders, you know, I give him props. He's a good man. Bernie Sanders is a good man. He's a little crazy, but he's a good man. You know, you can tell he's a good dude. Elizabeth Warren, Hillary 2.0, non-electable. She's just a boring little shit. You know, I don't like her. Joe Biden, that guy's like almost done in the brain, man. That guy's just saying all sorts of weird shit, but more on that another time, motherfucks. And then before we start, Anthony Warren, my frenemy on this channel, he says, the fact that you are a Cena fan, along with children, shows that you are a lame. Shut up, Anthony Warren. Your avatar is some action figure. I don't need your goddamn opinion. You can suck a fat one as far as I'm concerned. But it's of course, I'm just joking. It's all love up in this piece, motherfucker. So, I just got a text message from a friend saying that someone we know got arrested. I wonder why she got arrested. I don't give a fuck. I don't like that bitch. So anyways, let's get to it, motherfucks. This show, I don't know what to think of this show. You know, like, I'm going to be honest, as I always am. They did some things well in this show, you know, like the build-up specifically has been pretty well. But let's just go through it segmente by segmente. You know what I'm saying? Let's get to it. First segment, SCU versus Hangman and Kenny. I think this was for the titles, but I'm not 100% sure, motherfucks, right? This was exactly what you would expect from a match involving these 4 people. Typical bullshit match, right? Couple of things wrong with this. Once again, the makeshift tag team of Kenny Omega and Hangman Page defeat SCU, who won like a tag tournament and were pretty much undefeated for like a few months. You know what I'm saying? Scorpio Sky even beat Jericho. So come on. I mean, like give the tag team some love, some respect, you know? Like you have to build strong tag teams, right? You got to do that. Like back in the day, you would never see this happening, right? Like once in a while, you'd see like, you know, the Rock and Saw Connection, which was a makeshift tag team, beat like the New Age Outlaws. But that's only because The Rock and Mankind both were like legitimate, bona fide main eventers, right? And let's be real, Billy Gunn and Road Dogg weren't. So that makes sense, right? It's like, but Kenny Omega and Adam Page, I mean, if I had to place them somewhere, I'd place them firmly in the mid card of AEW. Let's be real, right? The main event is Jericho and Dean Ambrose. That's about it, motherfuckers. And Cody, right? That's it. Everyone else is a mid carder, you know. So I didn't like that at all. But the match was a typical Kenny Omega match. There was a point where Kenny Omega was set up by Adam Page. Adam Page did like a move and the guy was down. And Kenny Omega ran across the ropes like 25 times to do a Kotaro Crusher. This is just typical Hangman and Kenny Omega bullshit, right? Then Kenny Omega does the Snapdragon, because he does it in every match. And then we hear every week JR saying, oh, the Snapdragon, what a great move. Well, done best by Kenny Omega. He put that over again. It made me sick to my stomach. Eventually, Hangman and Kenny hit their buckshot V-trigger combination for the win, motherfuckers. During the match, aside from that knee, Kenny Omega did about 25 or 30 other knees. I don't really get why Kenny Omega is so great. Like, when I saw him, like, there was a point in the match when the match started where it was him versus Frankie Kazarian. And I remembered that little stint Frankie Kazarian had in WWE when he was, like, firmly on velocity. You know, he was just a velocity jobber. You know what I mean? And I would say Frank Kazarian would have eventually made like the main roster, and he would have been that time's Mojo Rawley. You know, that's probably what his limit was going to be at that time in WWE. But it's just the fact that like Kenny Omega is supposed to be like the best wrestler in the world. But let's be real, man. Like in AEW, he's presented as being like on the same level as Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky. So all that hype is done, man. Like it's not going to feel good. I'll get to it in a little bit later, but it's not going to feel amazing when Kenny Omega becomes champion. It's going to feel weird. It's going to be like what the fuck, you know? It would be like the equivalent of making Rusev champion now in WWE. You know what I mean? It'd be like, well, what the fuck, Rusev? The boat's been missed, motherfuckers. The boat's been missed. And I'm not saying that the boat's been missed because Kenny Omega hasn't become champion yet, because that's fine. You know, you don't have to make him champion immediately. But he has to be like this main event guy. You can't make him a tag jobber. But anyways, it is what it is. We'll get to more of that kind of stuff a little later, cucks. All right, next up, they advertised the Eye for an Eye match, which was essentially a singles match between Santana and Dean Ambrose, right? The way that they advertised this was just by showing a graphic, and then they cut to an interview with Jim Ross and Santana. Now, I don't know why they did this, but I swear to God, I thought it was disgusting. It was just a disgusting segment. Basically, Santana talks about how his father went blind, right? This was a very face-ish thing, right? Like, he was like, my father went blind, and I'm going to turn Dean Ambrose's world black or some other bullshit, or dark or some other bullshit like that. And JR's like, well, he's like, Jericho started it. Why are you aligning yourself with Jericho? And there was really no answer to that. So it was what it was. But basically, like it made me sick that they're using like this guy's father, who's like a real person, who apparently is blind, according to this segment, right? And just using him to just push a storyline. I'm just like, this is a blind man. Like, why are you exploiting this for some goofy ass angle where these two guys are fighting in eye patches? Dean Ambrose looking like the governor from fucking Walking Dead. I didn't even watch Walking Dead that much, but I know what the governor is, motherfuckers. That same liberal friend. Yeah, that guy loved The Walking Dead. He was my roommate for a while, so I'd watch it with him once in a while up in his piece. You understand me? So anyways, I didn't like that at all. Next up, we had another similar segment. Darby Allin can't talk now because he had his throat crushed by the skateboard incident, I guess either last week or 2 weeks ago. I don't know. Now, I've never heard Darby Allin speak, period. So this doesn't really feel as impactful, right? If it was like someone that, if this happened to MJF, you know, you'd be like, oh shit, MJF can't talk. That sucks, because this guy's like all about the promos, right? But Darby Allin, I don't know what he sounds like. So he cut like a Sammy Guevara type promo with the little signs, and he threw him on the ground, and he was like, Sammy, what are you doing at like Revolution, right? So we're gonna see that 5-star classic right there. You know what I'm saying? I look forward to that bullshit. It actually might be a good match because they're both like athletic at least. Then we had Goldust versus Sammy Guevara. Goldust eventually hits a Panama Sunrise and then hits the Final Reckoning and pins him. Then he calls out Swagger, who was at ringside, for a match at the pay-per-view AEW Revolution, motherfuckers. Goldbucks. Let's call him Goldbucks. Goldbucks says that Swagger was failing in his MMA career, and that he won't get in the ring. Now, this part I appreciate it because I've been saying it for fucking weeks, motherfuckers. And there's something more to this, which I will get to in the end of this video. But the facts are what they are. Jack Swagger hasn't wrestled. So Golas is like, yo, how about you wrestle me, motherfucker? This is long overdue because he like broke Golas' arm or whatever. He did something to Golas a few like months ago. So this should have happened already, right? But I guess they're building it up to be this like pay-per-view match, right? And JR's like, I'd love to see that match. And all I could think of was that this is like a Sunday Night Heat quality match. You know what I mean? Maybe not quality, like they might have a good match, who knows, right? But it is like that level of match in WWE. Like a Sunday night, like the first match on Sunday Night Heat, like the one that people are like, oh, who gives a fuck? You know, like not the last one that used to lead up to the pay-per-views, but this is basically like a superstars level match, you know? Like nobody cares about this. So there you have it, motherfucks. But now they're going to repackage this match as if it's like worthy of a fraction of the $59.99 that they're going to want you to shell out for whatever, Final Reckoning, I don't know, what's it called? Revolution pay-per-view up in this, you know? Then we had another moment, these are becoming all too frequent, by the way, of Tony Schiavone coming out and being humiliated by Britt Baker. Why they continue to do this is beyond me, both from a kayfabe perspective and just from like, you know, a production perspective. Like, just have her come and cut promos. Why do you need Tony Schiavone there? Like, is she really that interesting? She's not, you know? She comes out there and cuts a promo basically about how Tony sucks, humiliates him a little bit, mentions that he worked at Starbucks again, and then she says that she did Yuka Sakazaka, whatever the fuck her name is, a favor by, like, fixing her teeth, basically, by extracting one of her teeth, right? I actually, like, I'm not gonna say I liked it because it's the same shit she did, like, last week. Like, her, you know, her evil dentist thing is, like it's better than what she was doing before, but it's not great. You know what I'm saying? It's not fantastic, and it didn't really add, like this week. It didn't add anything because she already did it once, right? If you do the same thing again and again, very few times is it effective. You know what I mean? Like it was effective, for example, when Randy Orton took out Matt Hardy on Monday, right? That's like, all right, like this continues like the let's fucking hate Randy Orton, you know, segment, right? Which is weird because like Randy Orton was like a face for a while. I don't know. I don't care, right? But anyways, one of the good things about this was that Britt Baker called the fans. This was actually pretty great. She called the fans chubby Whataburger faces, and basically she was saying they're all a bunch of losers. You understand me? And when she did this, like the slam wasn't that good. You know, it wasn't this like great put down of historic proportions by any means, right? But what was great was that the cameraman, the producer, decided to like have the cameraman fucking find all these obese fat beards in the crowd and just pan to them, and they're all reacting to it like you're fucking fat. She's right. Like all these fans are a bunch of fat asses. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like I said, you know, like I'm out there trying to diet myself, so I'm not saying that like, you know, you have to be in perfect shape, but you can't let yourself go that much, motherfucks. And if you do, it's like understand what you are, man. Understand that people like the hater have love for you, man. We don't want you to die from obesity and obesity-related illnesses like diabetes. You know what I'm saying? We don't have diabetes, as I say. Some people say diabetes. I don't know. But anyways, it's just really weird because, like, they are what people say they are. You know what I mean? Like, these fat beards, they are like that. And, like, I think that my fat beard radar, my neck beard radar, has evolved to the point where when I see a comment online, I'm like, this guy's fucking a fat beard, man. There's no way around it. So AEW really proved her right by just showing their fans in the most unflattering of senses, which was fun for me, motherfuckers. Let's put it that way, right? And then a mild Whataburger chant starts because these people are such marks that like they think it's cool to do that. By the way, this is a good time to mention that there was a dude in the front row dressed as Scooby-Doo. Now, I should do a video just about this guy, right? Because this encapsulates everything that I say is wrong with wrestling and honestly with culture, right? A few Halloweens ago, right, I dressed up as a cowboy. I had grown my hair out, so it was pretty long. It's long now too, but it was pretty long back then. And my hair gets like very light in the summer, so I was like basically almost blonde, right? So I actually went and I rented like a legit cowboy outfit from like the costume store, right? And like to rent it was like $80, you know, like I actually went all out. I don't really like Halloween, but I'm like, I was going to a Halloween party, so I'm like, I'll dress up, right? I dressed up as a cowboy, and people were like, oh, why you dress up as a cowboy? And I'm like, well, cowboys are awesome. You know, I want to be a cowboy, right? Like, who doesn't want to be a cowboy? So I'm like, I'll dress up as a cowboy. And all the dudes at this party, which was at a nightclub, right? First of all the women were dressed like complete whores, right? And that's fine. That's understandable. That's like a thing that happens now. You know, I've accepted that bullshit, you know what I mean, a long time ago. But like Halloween is centered around two things. If you're a girl, you whore it up as much as you can for attention. And if you're a guy, you debase yourself as much as you can for attention, right? Halloween is no longer about like, or even dressing up generally. It's no longer about like, oh man, I really wish like for one day I could be a cowboy, right? And I'm gonna live my childhood fantasies and dress as a cowboy, right? Because I got the look now with the long flowy hair, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking like a beast, right? I'm gonna dress up as a cowboy. I had a little 6-shooter and everything, and I'd go to people and be like, what's up, partner? You know what I mean? I was in full character, right? I was enjoying myself, you know? So that's before I quit drinking, motherfuckers. So yeah, but all the other dudes had like stupid ass costume. Like there was this costume called Fart-O-Meter. You're basically this thing with like a vacuum, and it has the body of the costume is like a circle that like gauges someone's farts, right? Like that's just debasing, man. It's just like you just make an ass out of yourself in hopes of getting laid, and then you go home and you whack it off, right? Halloween night, and then you wonder to yourself, well, I had a clever costume. I dressed like Scooby-Doo. Why didn't I get laid? Oh, let's see, stupid. Because that just reeks of insecurity, right? It just reeks of like, oh man, I have no personality. So in Halloween, I'm going to try to show you that I'm clever. Like I remember for a while in high school, I just dropped some shit. Around like 2005, 2006, like my junior or senior year of high school, there was this trend that started for a little bit where like, it was called geek culture, where people would dress ironically as geeks, as nerds, right? Like they'd have like glasses with no lenses in them, and they would wear like bow ties ironically, and I'm just like, dude, this is gay. Like, why the fuck would anyone do this? You know what I mean? It's just that you're just embarrassing yourself in hopes of getting some attention. It's so sad. It's pathetic, man. It's pathetic. It's the equivalent of going to a restaurant, ordering some shit, and then taking a picture of it for Instagram. You know what I'm saying? So people can see, oh, this guy's really cool. The hater's really cool. He ate lobster today. Get the fuck out of here, man. Grow a personality, Scooby-Doo some bitch. You know what I'm saying? That guy's never going to get laid. He's probably a virgin still, motherfuckers. There's nothing wrong with that under certain circumstances. There is something wrong with that if your attempt to get laid involves dressing as Scooby-Doo. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that this little twerp did it for 2 reasons. One, to get attention from the people there. People are gonna be like, huh, that's great. You just like Scooby-Doo. You're cool. Like the fucking biggest losers are gonna say that. And then there's gonna be people like some girls are gonna do that too. They're gonna be like, oh, that's cute, right? He's gonna be like, oh yeah, girls like me now. I got news for you, pal. They don't, motherfucker. So, anyways, sorry about that little mini rant, but that guy really pissed me off, man. Next, we got Rijo versus Nyla. Now, this match had the workings of a decent women's match. This reminded me a lot of like an Awesome Kong Gail Kim match, but here's the difference, right? Number one, Nyla Rose is not as good as Awesome Kong. Number two, Rijo is nowhere near as good as Gail Kim, right? So there's that, number one. Number two, right? The bigger issue, no selling, right? It's one thing to no sell if you're like Batista, right? If you're Batista and someone slams you and you get right back up, it's like, dude, you're Batista. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's understandable. You're being pushed as a guy that's gonna get right back up. Or like when Kurt Angle headbutted Samoa Joe and hit him with the angle slam when he joined TNA, Samoa Joe got up and he was bleeding from the headbutt, and it was like such an iconic moment because it's like, dude, you're not gonna put Samoa Joe down so easily, right? Because the implications were that Kurt Angle is coming from the big company and he's gonna just destroy this little jobber, right? And Angle ended up beating him and ending his undefeated streak, but Samoa Joe put up a hell of a fight for a guy from like a lower company, right? Against not just a guy from the bigger company, but against like the number one wrestler maybe of all time, right? So there's implications to this, right? But when you're Rijo and you're like 86 pounds, right? And like if I were to like punch Rijo in the face, I think there's a good chance that I might kill her. You understand what I'm saying? In my earlier video, one of my boys, Isma Styles, motherfuckers. I like Isma Styles. That he's a good egg. He wrote something. He wrote a comment about how like Becky Lynch sucks or something, right? And some other guy, I don't know if he's a subscriber or not, right? He was like, oh, Becky Lynch would beat you, Isma Styles. And Isma Styles is like, dude, no, she wouldn't. And I'm just like, dude, no, she wouldn't. I don't even know Isma Styles, motherfuckers, but I can tell you she wouldn't, right? And Rijo is even worse than Becky. She's a tiny, tiny broad. So I'm thinking to myself, yo, like I hate to bring it back because I'm trying to get past the fact that Nyla Rose was born a dude, right? I'm trying to get past it because it's not relevant to her character, and that's what I like to talk about. But in this context, it becomes a little relevant because this is like basically a full-grown man just destroying this 86-pound woman, right? In any other context, this would be criminal, and it would be like a vile kind of criminal, right? And it's one thing to do that. I understand it's a show, so you can do it. I'm not saying, oh, this is unacceptable, but I'm saying like it has to be realistic. At a certain point, Nyla Rose hits like basically an avalanche attitude adjustment, like a DVD, like a Death Valley driver from the top rope to Rijo, and Rijo kicks out. And I'm just like, what the fuck? This is ridiculous, man. This is a move that puts down like Big Show, and Rijo like kicks out. You know what I mean? What's the logic behind that, right? Rijo then did like 7,000 foot stomps, but it doesn't matter because Nyla Rose grabbed the some bitch of a rope, then hit a Batista bomb on Rijo, and the new women's champion motherfucks is Nyla Rose. Now, normally, like I just said a minute ago, I would not want to hold against Nyla Rose the fact that she was born a dude. You know, that's not in my business. It's not relevant to her character, except in the grander scheme of things, right? Because now what we have is that the women's champion is a biological male. I don't know if she still got her dick and balls, but she was born a dude, right? And I just want to compare to this. Not like, whatever, you're presenting her as a woman. I don't care. That's fine. But let's compare this to when Carmella won the first ever women's Money in the Bank match, and it was James Ellsworth. Remember him, motherfuckers? Who helped her win, right? People lost their shit. They're like, oh, this great moment in women's wrestling history, right, was overshadowed by a man pretty much winning the match for Carmella, right? And I agreed with that. As like, I didn't care. I thought it was a good finish, but I agreed with it as a concept, right? It's like, dude, if you're gonna you're either gonna showcase the women, right, or you're gonna insert what's it called, James Ellsworth there, and then turn it into like a bullshit comedy with like screwy finish, right? So this is kind of on the same vein, right? It's like, dude, if you're gonna like treat her like a woman, treat her like a woman, right? But when she wins the title, becomes women's champion, and they say the winner and new champion, the man beast. I think they call her the man beast, Nyla Rose. I mean, that's just like, whoever thought of that as a retard, the man beast, right? Like, distance her from the fact that she used to be a dude, right? And on the other hand, in TNA, I don't know if this is like happening still, but as far as I know, the TNA champ is, or whatever, the Impact champion is still Tessa Blanchard. So let's think about this. In these goofy companies, in TNA, you have Tessa Blanchard, right? A tiny, tiny woman beating up Brian Cage, right? And she's the main, like, basically the men's champion. Let's call it what it is. If there's a women's title, then there's the men's title, right? But she is the men's champion. Then we have a biological male as the women's champion in AEW. So what the fuck does this even mean? You know, I don't even know where we stand anymore. You know what I mean? And you can't even talk about this. I'm sure, like, you know, if people knew that I'm saying this, they'd be like, oh, sexist, misogynist, transphobe, and none of that at all. I'm just saying, like, look what it says about the SJW-ness of wrestling, right? You have Tessa Blanchard, and now you have Nyla Rose, who, if you agree that this is a good thing, which I mean, I don't care, right? Nyla Rose can do whatever the fuck she wants. At least don't call her the man beast, you know what I mean? At least don't call her the man beast. And, like, I understood that, like, they couldn't make Nyla Rose the first women's champion, right? Because that would be like, oh, holy shit, right? But, you know, if they're gonna do it, don't call her the man beast. That's just ridiculous. Like, who the fuck thinks of these things, you know? The person that used to be a man, you call him the man beast? That's just so dumb, you know? That's like having a gay wrestler and calling him the pole smoker. Ah, the pole smoker's here. No, man, distance him from that kind of stereotype, right? Like, distance her from being masculine if you're gonna present her as a woman, you know what I mean? But that's neither here nor there. That's not even that important up in this bitch. So, Nyla Rose is now the women's champ. Overall, I think it's a good move because Nyla Rose, out of all the women, or all the people, I suppose, depending on how you look at it, in the women's division in AEW, she's the most compelling one. Everyone else sucks. Like, and last week, Yuka Sakazaki debuted, and you could have convinced me it was Rijo because she has the exact same build and the exact same moveset, you know? So, like, I don't give a rat's ass about that at all. Britt Baker, she's, like, quasi-interesting, but not enough to make her a champion. And then that's it. That's all they got. Everybody else, like, where's B. Priestley, man? What the fuck happened to her? Wasn't she supposed to be, like, a big deal? Where's the Statlander broad, as I call her? Where are these people, man? The women's division has, like, 3 women. You know? Whatever. Fuck it. Fuck the women's division. Fuck AEW. Anyway. Next up, Jericho reveals in a promo that next week, if Jon Moxley beats the very threatening Santana, aka a jobber, he will be facing Jeff Cobb, the debuting Jeff Cobb. Now, I know a little bit about Jeff Cobb because in Lucha Underground, whatever, there was a character called Matanza Cueto, or Cueto, right? He was like the kayfabe brother of the owner of like Lucha Underground, right? And he was like this monster type. And it wasn't even like a Mexican wrestler. It was Jeff Cobb presented as a Mexican wrestler with a mask, right? And Jeff Cobb, this guy can go, man. He is athletic, and he's the kind of guy that I like. You know, he's like not that tall, but beefy and strong, which means he can do power moves, and they look even better when he does it on big people. You know what I mean? Like I said earlier, if you have like Kane chokeslamming someone, it's one thing. If you have like, I don't know, Scott Steiner, let's say, like T-boning someone, it just looks more vicious, you know? So I'm looking forward to that. Next up, Brandi Rhodes comes out, and there's no mention whatsoever about her being retarded. She's just back to being Cody's wife. The questions then become, number one, what the fuck's gonna happen to Awesome Kong? What the fuck's gonna happen to Luther, motherfucker? And most importantly, what's gonna happen to Mel, who was willing to shave her head for this angle? You know, I bet you this broad thought to herself, if I shave my head, this is my ticket to AEW, which will maybe be my ticket to the big leagues, WWE. No, sweetheart. What's going to happen is this. You're going to shave your head, and then Brandi Rhodes is going to forget about it, and then you're going to be, I don't know, back being like unemployed or, you know, working at some other bullshit federation, right? So there you have it, motherfuckers. That was a waste of time. The whole dark, whatever, collective, Nightmare Collective, waste of time. Then we have MJF versus Jungle Boy. Another predictable match. Thus far, all we've had are predictable matches, right? Like, you could argue that it wasn't predictable that Nyla Rose would win, but it was the only thing that made sense. Like, if Rijo beat her, that's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? That's just foolish, right? But everything else was predictable, you know? Goldust versus Gavari. Goldust is obviously, like, getting a push, kind of. So he was going to win. And obviously, SCU is not going to win the titles again. So another predictable match. Fucking MJF versus Jobber Boy Jack Perry. I'm going to call him Jobber Boy from now on. Jobber Boy Jack Perry in this week's, or not this week's, but this episode's Who Gives a Rat's Ass match of the week. Obviously, MJF was going to win. He's being promoted to like a very high position on the card, one of the main events probably. If not the main event, I mean, it feels like a bigger deal than Moxley versus Jericho, which is saying a lot. But you know what I'm saying, right? And when I say it's saying a lot, I don't mean it's saying a lot in the sense that it's such a good feud that, like, of course it's going to be number one. I'm saying it's saying a lot, but about AEW's inferior booking for their championship matches. But anyways, it is what it is. So basically the match ends when MJF hits, what's his face? Fucking Jobber Boy Jack Perry with, like, he punches him in the face while wearing his ring. Now, this is stupid because a ring is not going to knock you out. That's not how pressure works. But these people don't understand these things. They think, like, oh, I'm going to hold something. Like, if you hold a roll of quarters and you punch someone in the face, that's going to knock them out, because you're pretty much loading your fist. If you wear a ring, it might cut up his face or something, but it's not heavy enough to knock someone out by any means, right? But he used that to set up for the double cross, hits the double cross, which he just needs to stop doing, because, like, it almost makes me appreciate Cucky Rhodes, and that's saying a lot. Because I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck this guy's doing, like, this move, and Cody Rhodes makes it look like it's supposed to look, I suppose, because he's the one who does it. And then MJF does it like shit. It looks like shit every time. So there you have it. That was a complete waste of time. Then we have a Pac segment where he's sounding like Aleister Black. You know, he's speaking in the same cadence. I don't like it, motherfuckers. And he's cutting a promo on Kenny Omega. This is like the most irrelevant feud ever. If there was an award for Who Gives a Rat's Ass segment of the week, it would be this one. But we only have them for match. But this segment was a complete waste of time. It just shows Pac training. He is jacked, I'm not going to lie. And he's wearing his ring clothes, but he's like in this dark alley. And he's basically just saying, Kenny, I'm going to get you. Complete waste of time. Then we had the main event, which this is not a main event. This is just a stupid match. Moxley versus Santana. The match was whatever, who gives a shit. Actually, I thought it was a pretty shitty match because the way, one of the stories of the match was that eventually Jon Moxley was blinded in both eyes because one eye is injured. And then Ortiz spits like some sort of whiskey or something in his face, some sort of liquor, which blinds him. And then the match becomes like, if anyone's watched that, was a pay-per-view match in TNA back in the day. It was Cowboy James Storm versus Wildcat Chris Harris when the tag team broke up. They had like a blindfold match, right? It was like one of the worst matches of all time. And it ended with James Storm pretty much taking off his blindfold, super kicking the idiot Wildcat Chris Harris and pinning him, which was, I thought, a great finish for a stupid match like that. But this match pretty much devolved into that because Jon Moxley was basically blind. Then he hits like a move on Ortiz, and then he's like swinging in the air, and then they bump backs with each other, and like instinctively Jon Moxley turns around and hits the dirty deeds on him and wins 1, 2, 3. Now, come on, man, come on, dog. Like, he's blind and he's winning. Then he gets attacked immediately by by Ortiz. Right? In my opinion, he deserves all these beatdowns because he's the one who attacked them first. Right? Then everyone comes in. Jack Swagger hits a low blow. Fucking Sammy Guevara comes in and hits a 630 senton. And then they introduce Jeff Cobb. Psych, motherfuckers! He's not going to debut next week. He's going to debut today. Jeff Cobb comes out, picks up Ambrose, hits the Tour of the Islands on him, which is his finishing move. And it's basically like a wind-up Revolution style scoop slam type move, almost like not a scoop slam, but like a power slam, right? And the move is cool. I like the move. And then that's how it ended. Now, next week he's gonna fight Jeff Cobb. Even if he beats him, who gives a rat's ass? And the same thing is gonna happen, you know. Now, there's so many people that hate the Inner Circle. Why didn't any of them come and help Dean Ambrose, right? Like, if Goldust wants to get his hands so badly on Jack Swagger, why don't he come help? The Young Bucks and everybody else hates Santana and Ortiz. Everyone hates Jericho. So why don't they come and attack? Yeah, I didn't like that. It's getting out of hand, motherfuckers. So yeah, that's what I got about that. The event was, in my opinion, kind of shitty, but I do like the fact that they used it. Like, we're still, never mind. We're only like two and a half weeks away from the pay-per-view, so never mind. I take it back. I was going to say they did a good job of doing some early build-up, but they didn't because the pay-per-view was in 2 weeks. So, like, they didn't, they started too late. I thought it was in like 4 weeks for some reason. And, as a result, we'd find ourselves in a situation where they're putting over these feuds. But like early, but that's not what's happening. They're just dragging ass as usual. They're just throwing matches together last minute, like at least it's better than the last pay-per-view where there was like 2 matches announced, and then that day they announced like 4 matches that no one gave a fuck about. So there you have it. I mean, I didn't really enjoy it. I'm sure Dave Meltzer thinks it's a 5-star event. So there you go, motherfucks. That's the video for tonight. What am I going to do next? Next up, well, first of all, we're going to have Raw pretty soon. So let's look forward to that. And then I might do like a little video on, I might do a 25 Reasons. I think I have a good one in my head. I might do it right now, actually. 25 Reasons. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is yet because you're going to see that son of a bitch. But yeah, it's my bad that it's the video's late. I don't like doing that either. It's fucking like 12:30 right now. So I'm going to upload this son of a bitch. And I might do another one. I might do a 25 Reasons Why. I'll even give you guys a little spoiler. 25 Reasons Why. That's right, motherfuckers. You heard it here first. Kazuchika Okada sucks ass. Actually, I just thought of like 3 reasons in my head, so I'm going to write them some bitches down and probably do it right now. Cooks! All right, motherfuckers. See you later, bitches!